Well, it was August 5th, 287. The Battle of Kurstel's Outskirt, they called it, or as many of us call it, the fields of Kurstel. It's been nearly 60 years since that day, my God. The wound I got still stings. I was 20 then. A lot better looking, I can assure you. I wasn't even the oldest there. One lad was 17. Alien Shield was full of young and old. Some of the most diverse and random group of personalities I'd ever served with. Oh, I remember meeting so many mercenaries as well. From every part of the Western world. Elves, humans, you name it. I think in the end it was the auxiliaries that we hired that saved so many of our crusaders. I still have an old silver kestrel banner here somewhere, actually. This battle was to be the last time many of us would be alive. Rather, so many of us were alive. I wish I could have said goodbye to a few who lost their lives in that battle and the ones after. We'd never recover from them, really. This battle was the beginning of the end for the von Slaren, but I also think it was the beginning of the end for Alien Shield as well.
Does anything about this battle stick out to you?
Well, right before we went to muster, I remember being rather scared. Enough so that an older crusader said to me, "Arsling, they won't tell stories if we stay home." Afternoon. I'm General Julian. Nice to see all of you again. I'll cut right to it. As of yesterday morning, Kurstel was announced as liberated and cleared of all undead. With your successful attack in the east, the von Slaren appear to be growing desperate. They have focused most of their army on making a push towards Kurstel, deploying their entire force of undead and a portion of their local levy. I've deployed a sizable force, including yourselves, to meet them in the outskirts of the city and put their army to bed before it can lock us down in street-to-street combat. Allow me to explain the order of battle. Our enemy is commanded by Lord Schwanstein. In life, he commanded the von Slaren army when it was deployed in Valencia during the Valencian Wars. While he was a great general at the time and holds a great deal of talent, I believe his experience may be his downfall. I say this because he's deployed his forces in a formation I know well, one that we call the Dune Hammer. An old technique that was made famous when it defeated Emir Sashno in western Valencia. Although it worked great then against Valencians, let's see how it goes against his fellow countrymen. His formation is like this. At his front, he has his shock troops. Their focus is to shatter our own lines. Then in the rear, he'll push his main line forward where cracks are made, forcing us to pull back in order to seal them. He will then deploy archers along the sides to fire into our flanks, rendering our shields pointless. While this does not lead to heavy losses, it forces us to give ground steadily until we have to withdraw. Covering his archers, he will have cavalry that will hold back, only engaging if a force moves around to attack his archers. My plan to counter this formation is simple. Unlike Valencians, our army has a focus on shields. We will put our furthest right flank against a cliff, enough so that the flank is secure. On the left, we'll deploy all our spearmen and have them hold the flank to protect our men from arrows and to deny their cavalry any advancements. Meanwhile, our entire cavalry force will push hard to the left and draw out their cavalry. enough so that a force of shock troops of our own will push forward and engage their archers. Hopefully our spearmen will be able to protect their advance. We intend to engage their archers or force them to withdraw to the rear. Either way, we'll have flanked them. While our left spear heads the assault, our center must hold steady and ensure that any cracks their shock troops make are sealed up before they can push too many soldiers into them and cause entire breaks in the line. Finally, we shall be deploying a force of men to move around our enemy's far right flank, ensuring that they do not divert all their soldiers to the left to ruin our spearhead. This flank will also attempt to break through to Schornstein, and if possible, put him back in the grave. We've also heard rumors of von Slaren's household knights being deployed, and some sort of abomination constructed by Dr. Manfred. We have cannons lined in the rear, and thanks to our alchemists, your captains will be given a pouch of powder filled with sacks that, when ignited, will put out a large amount of red smoke. Wherever we see smoke, the cannons will fire. May God be with all of you, and let's ensure we send them all running back to Callan Castle.